This might be the most insane Land Cruiser built you ever imagined. And guess what? This is no ordinary Land Cruiser. This is the Toyota Land Cruiser Alpine Armor CUDA, also known as the Toyota Land Cruiser CUDA. So let's dive into the crazy details behind this ultimate Toyota Land Cruiser tank. So what exactly is the Toyota Land Cruiser Alpine CUDA? Well, it's simple. This massive behemoth made out of metal is basically inspired from a Toyota Land Cruiser 70 series body type. And what did Alpine Armoring do is that they replaced the Land Cruiser standard shell with this thing, an armored body shell that replaced the Land Cruiser 70 series. But the only thing that they didn't even replace was the Land Cruiser 70's standard chassis frame. And guess what? This is the most insane Land Cruiser built that I've ever seen. So what exactly made this Land Cruiser the ultimate Land Cruiser? Well, it's simple. Because it reminds me of a Land Cruiser combined with the essence of a military truck. I'm serious. If you ever seen this massive behemoth, you could basically ask someone even if it was really a Land Cruiser. But most people recognize the Land Cruiser design because if you look closely underneath this vehicle, it is a Land Cruiser because its chassis frame is not really military graded. It's just a armored shell that replaces the Land Cruiser's original body style. I know that Land Cruisers were meant for the military back in the 1950s with the BJ-20, but this is something far more insane. This is got to be the most powerful vehicle that I've ever imagined. And in fact, seeing this thing in real life would be even crazier because the Land Cruiser 70 series has never sold to the United States from an unknown source of reason. And in fact, this armored Land Cruiser is got to be a tank because it doesn't feel like a regular off-road SUV anymore. In fact, this thing is a mobile machinery that was meant to take on warfields and SWAT missions. The Alpine armored Toyota Land Cruiser is by far the most wild thing that you could ever see in real life. And in fact, judging how by this beast of a Land Cruiser was built, it is so overpowered. Imagine this, a basic Land Cruiser body switched to an armored version of itself. It's like Batman wearing Toyota Land Cruiser clothes. And in fact, that would be true because like the Batman tumbler, this thing is just a normal vehicle. And guess what? The military and FBI would replace the original factory body with an armored truck design and give it a more intimidating and more muscular presence. Although this thing is truly a Land Cruiser inside and outside, many people call this the Land Cruiser as a Batmobile. Why? Because just look at it. All that massive bulging and armoring plated all around its body, that is something insane and crazy. Judging by how this thing looks absolutely brutal. In fact, if the FBI and SWAT ever use this during SWAT raids, terrorists and dangerous armed criminals would be so terrified of seeing this thing roll up into their base and everyone gets taken out. But not the SWAT and this thing. If this thing was ever used in military and police work, it would remain as the most unstoppable Toyota Land Cruiser ever manufactured.